This man didn't leave a single empty spot around the house. He turned every corner into a project. And he didn't just create a new world in his garden, he also saved more than $70,000. His name is Danny, and he noticed that his garden had huge empty spaces. So he decided to take advantage of that space and build something useful for himself, from a comfortable seating area to a dedicated gym spot. In short, he completely transformed the entire garden. Let's take a look together at how he managed to do all of this on his own. The first area he started working on was next to the swimming pool. He chose the spot and measured it precisely, then removed all the artificial grass that was there. After that, he drilled holes into the ground itself, leaving equal spaces between each hole so the flooring would be balanced and stable. He planned everything ahead, placing some cement in each hole. Then he spread a large sheet of tarp over the ground, which was a very important step because it would act as insulation between the wood and the soil, keeping the wood protected from moisture at all times. After securing the tarp, he cut openings in it to match the holes in the ground, then cut wooden posts and fixed them in place next to bags of cement he was going to use. He brought a machine to mix concrete and began pouring the concrete into the holes, securing the wooden posts firmly inside. He installed these posts so they could support the wooden frame of the flooring. After that, he placed the boards that would form the base of the floor and fastened them with brackets and screws. Between each board, he inserted a small piece of wood to fill the gap, prevent any side movement, and distribute the weight evenly. Once he finished building the main structure, he sealed all the edges with a thick black adhesive to prevent moisture or dirt from getting between the layers. This also made the next step easier, which was installing the final top layer of the floor, beautiful brown wooden panels with a very elegant pattern. These boards were long, so he cut them with a saw, left a gap the width of one board, and then installed the rest side by side with intense precision, securing them tightly with nails. After he finished installing all the boards, he removed a small section from the edges and placed a board horizontally in its place. In the space he had left earlier, he added another board. Then he moved to the center of the flooring, removed wooden pieces the size of a board, cleaned the area, and installed new wooden boards, securing them in place with nails. After that, he completed the missing section of the paneling. He repeated the exact same steps on the other side as well. All of this was done to create a frame around the flooring, which would prevent the appearance of cracked edges and give the entire surface a clean, polished look. In the gap between the new flooring and the natural ground, which was exactly the height of the support posts, he installed wooden boards on all sides and secured them tightly with nails. And of course, he didn't leave them like that. He painted them with a black coating. This paint would protect the wood and also give the area a nice aesthetic. He was building this platform because he wanted to place a canopy above it, turning it into a relaxing seating area overlooking the swimming pool. He brought the posts that would support the canopy, which were not made of wood. Before starting this project, he had asked contractors how much it would cost, and they told him between $15,000 and $16,000. But since he was building it himself, he would only be paying for the raw materials, making it way cheaper. And in a little while, I'll tell you exactly how much it cost. The posts came with metal bases that attach to the bottom of each post so they can stand firmly. After installing the bases, he attached the posts together while they were still on the ground. Then, he lifted them and secured the entire structure in place. Once he finished building the main frame that would support the canopy, he brought the panels that would form the roof. He drilled holes in them for the nails he would use to attach them to the structure, then hung them from above and made sure they were fixed tightly. He repeated this process for all the panels. After installing the entire top layer on the frame, he went back and added another row from the outside.
Next came the walls, which he also made himself. He brought the wooden boards, installed them one after another, and secured them with 2 horizontal boards on each side. He did this for 3 sections, the back wall and the 2 side walls. For the other 2 sides, he installed curtains so he could open or close them whenever he wanted, depending on his mood.
He didn't stop there. He added plants everywhere, and he also placed a sofa, 2 chairs, and a table with a decorative stone bowl in the middle. So how much did this entire seating area cost? The total cost was only $4,400, which means he saved more than $10,000, an impressive achievement on its own. In another part of his garden, he marked out a circular area made of 2 circles inside one another. He started by removing all the artificial grass inside the smaller circle. Then he removed some of the soil that was inside the circle and leveled all the dirt so it was even. After that, he brought wooden sticks, lined them up side by side, and covered them with soil. He did this around the entire circle to mark the spacing between the tiles he planned to install later. Once he leveled the ground again, he covered it with black tarp to prevent weeds from growing and to separate the old ground from the new layer. The new layer was crushed limestone, which he chose because it's sturdy and provides more stability than regular soil. He spread it across the whole circle. After that, he placed the wooden sticks side by side again and filled the spaces between them with limestone until everything reached the same level. Then he sprayed water over it to help smooth it out and compress it properly, forming a strong, level base. He repeated the process, laying the sticks, adding a layer of crushed limestone, and leveling the ground. Next, he brought pipes and placed them next to each other, then applied a layer of white sand over them. This layer was slightly raised. On top of that, he placed the stones that would form the flooring. He laid them without using anything extra, just adjusted their positions with a hammer. After he finished installing the stones, he spread tile-setting sand over them. This sand is a mixture of fine sand and a few other additives, and when it gets wet, it becomes almost like glue. He filled the gaps between every stone with this mixture. He then moved to the edges where some stones needed to be cut to specific sizes so they would fit the circular shape. He cut them precisely with a machine and installed them the same way, using the hammer to secure them.
He poured sand into the side gaps as well, then lightly sprayed water over the entire area so the sand would react and turn into a glue-like material that binds all the stones together. In the spots that still had gaps, he added more sand and sealed them. After that, he used an air blower to clean the entire area thoroughly. Of course, he wasn't going to leave the place like that. There was still a lot of work to do. He brought stones and arranged them in a circular shape. Then he brought another set of stones and created a second layer on top of the first. After that, he sprayed some water over them and brought a metal bowl so he could later light a fire beneath it or even grill whatever he wanted. He painted it a light brown color, placed a bowl inside, and covered it with its lid. To make the chairs for this seating area, he went to his workshop and decided to build them himself. He cut the wood, sanded it with his machine, assembled the pieces, and secured them firmly with nails. Then, he painted them using a sprayer or compressor, choosing black for this project. He made 4 chairs and a base in this style. He chose a spot for the seating area, removed the artificial grass from it, and spread trees, flowers, and other plants around. Not only that, he laid down the weed-preventing tarp and added a layer of wood chips and dry leaves on top of it, so it would look like a natural ground cover. Then he placed a plant between each chair. That plant alone completely transformed the space. To keep everything organized and uncluttered, he decided to build storage units to keep his tools and the equipment he uses in his garden. The first thing he did was go to his workshop to design the molds that would form the foundation of these storage units. He brought wooden boards, cut them into rectangular shapes in the exact size he wanted, and fastened them together with nails. He made 4 frames like this. Then, he took them to the spot he designated for the storage units. Between each frame, he left an appropriate gap,
securing them with a small post hammered into the ground. After that, he brought the mixer and poured concrete into the frames, spreading it evenly across each form. On top of the first concrete layer, he placed a metal mesh, then poured the rest of the concrete over it.
After the concrete filled the frame, he leveled the top surface so it was completely even, and he did the same for all 4 frames. Before the concrete dried, he inserted small steel rods into it. Once the concrete cured, he removed the frames and went back to his workshop, where he cut wooden boards, took them to the concrete bases, placed them on top, and fastened them together with nails. After securing them, they formed a solid wall, which he fixed into the concrete using the steel rods he had inserted earlier. He repeated the same process for the remaining walls, but the 2 side walls were slightly shorter because he wanted to make the roof slanted so that rainwater wouldn't accumulate on top, but instead run off directly to the ground. He continued working by preparing the roof panels, installing them, and securing them firmly. On top of these panels, he placed a large wooden board, and he did the same along the sides as well. This way, he closed the storage units with wooden boards from every direction. At the front, where the door would be, he built a frame, and on the walls he installed additional thin wooden boards everywhere to reinforce the structure and prevent it from shaking or moving. He fixed them with nails and, for extra strength, glued all of them together. After finishing the construction of the storage unit, he started painting it with a white coat that protects against moisture and weather conditions. On top of the roof, he installed a layer of asphalt shingles, a very well-known material that we've seen many times before on the channel. Its purpose is to protect houses from rain, sunlight, and changes in weather. First, he applied a base layer, then added an asphalt layer that gives the roof strength and water resistance. And over all of that, he added mineral granules. This type of granule is famous for its excellent durability. Next, he brought 4 wooden pieces, fixed them together, and placed another piece in the middle to make the structure even stronger. After securing everything tightly, he attached hinges, then placed the first wooden board of the door and nailed it firmly. After that, he added the next board, then the next, until he completed the entire door. Then he used a saw to trim the excess edges along a straight line, installed another wooden plank on each side, and built an outer frame around the door. After finishing it, he sprayed it with black paint and did the same for the other 4 doors. Once the paint dried, he installed them onto the storage units using hinges and screws. He also installed a lock so he could open and close them whenever he wanted. And even after all of this, he still wasn't done. He literally wasn't going to leave a single spot in the garden without creating something in it. Next to the storage units, he decided to build a drainage system for the water. He removed everything that was there, including the artificial grass. Then he brought a small machine and began loosening and turning the soil, mixing it thoroughly. After cleaning and preparing the ground, he leveled it again so everything was even. Near the drainage pipe coming from the house, he dug a long trench and installed a wide hose connected to the pipe. He buried the hose inside the trench. After that, he laid down the landscaping fabric, the one that blocks weeds while still allowing water to pass through, and secured it firmly with nails so it wouldn't move. Between each storage unit, he spread wooden sticks and dry tree leaves. Then he placed a wire that extended across the entire garden and installed plastic grid panels next to it, securing them firmly. Between each panel, he left equal spacing. This plastic grid system allows water to filter naturally through it. Beside the plastic grids he was installing, he placed several plant pots, and they looked amazing. Then he resumed installing more of the grid panels, which also helped distribute weight evenly across the ground. After installing the panels, he filled the spaces inside them with compressed wood pellets and other organic materials. This helped stabilize the ground, while the gaps between the grids allowed water to drain into the soil. Once he finished filling them, he removed the pots from their temporary positions, dug holes in all the marked spots, took the plants out of the pots, and placed them directly into the trench he had made. This gave the area a much more natural look.
When he continued the project, this time he filled the gaps between the grid panels with gravel. Along the side, he added a completely different type of gravel, one with a different size and color. And of course, he added trees everywhere. The final step was spraying a special adhesive over the wood chips to keep them in place.
The pathway looks absolutely stunning, and it wasn't built just for the ceiling. Every single detail in it was crafted perfectly. With the carefully coordinated colors, it ended up looking incredible, almost like an actual piece of art. And if you think that's all, let me tell you there's still an empty section in his garden. And of course, he's not going to leave it that way. This time, however, he's planning to create a pathway that's completely different from the previous one. The first thing he did was mark the area he wanted to work on. Then he removed the artificial grass that was already there, along with some of the soil beneath it. To make the ground firm and compact, he brought out the machine used for compressing soil, gravel, and sand. After that, he started leveling the edges and smoothing them out before covering and flattening the ground. Next, he removed that tarp he kept placing everywhere, and he began preparing the molds for the concrete. He went to the workshop, cut the wooden pieces to the exact measurements he needed, brought them back, placed them on top of the tarp, and arranged them in a square pattern. He secured all the pieces together with nails, but before continuing, he sprayed the house sealer with black paint, which made it look really sleek and at the same time protected it from weather conditions. Once he was done with that, he continued what he had started. He first poured a layer of sand, the type that loosens and turns into adhesive, into the bottom of the squares. Then he turned on the mixer and poured the concrete into the molds. After the first layer, he placed the metal reinforcement mesh, then continued pouring the rest of the concrete. While it was still wet, he smoothed it out and leveled the entire surface. After the concrete dried, he removed the wooden molds and filled the gaps with that water-activated sand. Then he sprayed water over it to help it expand and bind everything together even better. If he hired a contractor just for digging and preparing that area, it would have cost around $7,000. But he only spent about $600 because contractors charge $300 a day just for the mixer rental, and installing tiles alone costs between $12 and $20 per square foot, which pushes the total cost to around $6,000 to $8,000. Meanwhile, our guy Donnie, even with all the materials he used, didn't even come close to $1,000. The amount of savings he achieved here is honestly unbelievable. After finishing the concrete, he spread a black tarp and placed wooden planks in the usual small branches he always uses. Then he laid down a sheet of artificial grass, cut out several pieces, gathered them again, and took those cut pieces to fill the gaps between the concrete squares we poured. He even trimmed smaller pieces to fit into the very tight spaces. The whole pathway was now complete, and it honestly looked amazing. Once he finished that part of the garden, he moved on to the best feature in the entire yard, the gym, which, at the same time, would also serve as a play area for the kids. First, he spread out the black tarp again and poured a large amount of cement on top. He compacted the ground with a compression machine and framed the entire area with wooden borders to define the space and prevent anything from spilling outside, while also giving it a clean, organized look. On top of the surface, he placed an artificial grass mat. There was a tree in that spot, so he cut out a section of the turf to fit perfectly around it without removing the tree. He then laid down another turf sheet to cover the rest of the space, glued them together, and stapled them firmly. Hiring a contractor or professional service to install this type of artificial grass would have cost between $8 and $15 per square foot, but by doing it himself, he only paid about $3 to $4 per square foot. Now it was time to assemble the fitness and outdoor play equipment. This kind of setup is great because it includes pull-up bars, push-up bars, and a jumping platform, while at the same time offering a slide, a ladder, and a swing set so the kids can enjoy the space just as much as he does. The best part is that all the equipment is made from strong, weather-resistant materials. On the side, he marked the workout section with black paint and then drew over it in white. On this wall, he hung the metal bars he would rely on for his workouts, along with the benches he would use. He painted the entire base framing the area in black, and on the side he added wooden panels to decorate the space and blend it smoothly with the rest of the garden.
He tried out the gym afterward, and the experience was incredible. Honestly, anyone would wish they had something like this.
And of course, after all these renovations, he wasn't going to leave everything exposed like that, because all of it could easily be stolen at any moment. So he decided to install security cameras everywhere, making sure they covered every corner of his garden. He connected all of them to the screens inside his house. In the end, he needed to build a cabinet to store the cushions for the seating area. He brought the wooden boards he planned to use and assembled them himself. He installed special hinges so that when he shuts the door, the boards wouldn't get scratched. After attaching everything, he placed the cabinet in the lounge area and stored the cushions inside. In the end, he managed to turn his idea into a real project, transforming all the empty space around him into a very cool and comfortable outdoor lounge in front of the swimming pool. He also built an impressive seating area perfect for himself and for gatherings, in addition to the storage units where he can keep anything he needs. The drainage system he created was done with real craftsmanship, and the checkerboard-style pathway he made turned out to be stunning. Even the gym, he put an incredible amount of effort into it to achieve that level of quality and efficiency. He did all of this by himself and managed to save a huge amount of money. So anyone who wants to create something can absolutely do it, as long as they put in the effort and never give up. Tell me your thoughts on the video in the comments, and also let me know what you think about our recent content on the channel. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.